Hello guys, what's going on? I thought today I'll just talk about the Legacy of Phrecia event that's coming up on the 20th February, which I'm going to be streaming live on Twitch, which Twitch drops. Going to get the cloak for the armor set that you can earn. I'm at least going to be trying to hit 80, earn the armor set. I'm probably not going to be playing it for a super long time just because Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out the week after, but at least for the week, I'll be playing a fair bit. Also, it'll be my first dip back into PoE 1 since PoE 2 came out, so we'll have to see how it feels going back. I know combat in PoE 2 feels a lot better, but, a lot of the systems are all fleshed out in PoE 1. But I was going to run through the ascendancies and cool things that I kind of think of each of them, because they're all very interesting. And it looks like the team has just had as much fun with it as possible, like trying to really mess with the possibilities. Without going too far, but some of them look pretty busted, so, whatever. Just real quick, this is an absurdly long video because I end up spending way too long going through every single node. Please use timestamps to look for ones you want. If you want to watch the whole video, go ahead. But I admit, this was too much. I could have gone a better summary, but I started thinking about more things when I was doing it. I'm going to probably continue to spend way too long thinking of stuff. And I'll try and come up with some more concise videos about more specific things that I want to do. But yikes. Enjoy. Alright, so I'll just start from the top. We got the Daughter of Oshabi. Really, it's like the big thing here that's for a specific build is this stuff down the bottom for Sacred Wisp and Spellslinger. But then we also have the attack damage or evasion rating. So, could make a very strong attack wand build here. And Oath of the Magi can allow some pretty crazy defensive stuff with either evasion rating, energy shield, or a bit of both. I know I saw a bit of Polster on talking about the potential for absurd amounts of energy shield here while still getting absurd amounts of evasion rating. So that's obviously pretty strong. I think Rooster Grove getting the poisons is kind of whatever. You have to hit them 5 times first anyway. Maybe there's some cool setup where you can stack some crazy amounts of damage to get poisons, but I don't think this is particularly special. The shrine stuff's cool. Not sure how strong it'll be, especially with the having the idols in the end game instead of the Atlas passives. We can't, don't know how much we can spec into having shrines be even stronger, because the random shrine buff every 10 seconds could be pretty crazy. But I think this is pretty clear that if you're playing this, it's probably 2-player 1 build. Potentially the int stacking, where you can get extra evasion for int as well, and those wands that have the base damage scaling with int. But yeah, that's about it for that one, I think. Very cool though. Any wand skills, you got Kinetic Bolt, Kinetic Blast, Power Siphon, yada yada yada. Yeah, seems cool. Now Whisperer is very interesting. It's a mana based attack build, sort of thing. Big thing here is the stuff up the top. Int doesn't give mana, but Dexterity does, and then you get the mana cost of skills and lightning damage. You got a 4% of max mana. That gets pretty crazy. I think those two themselves, like the main important things here, alongside the increased reduction of spell damage, also apply to attacks at 150% value. You can get some crazy stuff out of this. Indigon allows scaling of these. You get a huge amount of mana for this, and then this, Your Mind is Destroyed, will give make Indigon do some crazy amounts of damage. The attacks forking is just really good with additional time. It's crazy clear. Obviously, boss damage won't necessarily be the most unless we get some crazy chain stuff happening. Mana Before Life is good. Fizz damage is good for evasion builds, but I think it's less important here. Obviously, you got a lot of mana. It's very strong if you don't have much Fizz mitigation, so you're an evasion build, which you're on Ranger, so yeah. The Rage after spending mana is good, but I don't think that big of a deal. Mana recovery from flasks is pretty useful if you have a good mana flask, but I don't think it's super important either, because like there's, with these top ones here, Your Mind is Destroyed, and then you can go the blind or the power charge ones down here, like huge blind amount is really good for evasion, and then power charge is just strong. Like that'll sit you on 4, both frenzy and power charges, which is nuts. But yep, I think for this you can kind of go any attack build. I know I heard some stuff about Mana Forged Arrows being potential done for this, because Mana Forged Arrow has more damage based on the amount of mana required to trigger it. So you could rack up some crazy amounts of mana costs and do absurd amounts of damage that scales with your max mana and the mana cost, and then the spell reductions, spell damage increase and reductions from like Indigon. But yeah, that's potential for some nutty stuff there. Could just be strong as like any attack build. Wildspeaker I really like conceptually. I know there's interesting stuff to do with all the aspects that you could do before. I say all the aspects, there's only a couple. Under the aspect of the avian stuff, and the buff's reasonably strong. Actually, maybe I have to double check that. Let me just pull this up. Aspect of the avian. Yeah. So it alternates between blah blah blah. A chance to deal double damage and movement speed, which would be 14% movement speed and 12% double damage chance. So this with the 200% increased effect would put you to what 42% move speed and 36% double damage chance. So that's actually pretty solid. But the thing I've seen a lot of people like the aspect of the avian for is with the Sakawal's Flock helmet, which allows you to shoot out twisters when you game on. It's just a really funny way to just spam tornadoes everywhere. And if you can reduce the duration, actually that wouldn't work with this, because previously you'd put reduced duration to support the aspect of the avian skill, but here you can't support it. So never mind. Can't do tornadoes. Either way, decent buff. Movement speed or chance to deal double damage is good. The spectral wolves on crit, kind of cool potential minion stuff there, especially with aspect the avian doing double damage. Maybe that's some cool thing with Scourge of the Wilds as well. I don't know how viable that would be, but it could be something cool to try. You know, go deck stacking crit with aspect of the avian, so you can absolutely have some crazy wolves. Could be a cool idea. Other than that, though, I think the big thing people are really going to want to see is the stuff here with aspect of the cat. No reservation, and you gain the effect of Farrell's Fur. You gain frenzy and power charges up to your maximum when you gain cat stealth with +1 max. So yeah, using the tree and this, you could easily get, say you ignore the power side, even the frenzy side, it's very, very quick to get 7 frenzy charges just from the tree in this. And then you can play a Flicker Strike build. Done. Easy. The suppression node, which I'll just zoom in so you can kind of see it past me. Suppression node, it's alright. It would be good early, but it's very easy to get a lot of suppression in the right side of the tree, so it's kind of whatever. Great Wolf's Call, sharing charges is kind of nice, and you and Nibila's Tailwind kind of nice. I think in a group content, maybe that's a cool thing. Maybe you could do a support character using Above the Clouds that it scales Great Wolf's Call. And then you could maybe, or you could do something with like Aspect of the Cat, Fields of Symmetry, Great Wolf's Call. So that would allow you to just immediately share all the charges with everyone. Something cool like that. And then you got your mini Inspired Learning, 20 seconds of getting buffs from monsters, which is obviously kind of cool. Interesting. I don't really know if there's a particular build to go with this other than Flicker. Maybe the minion setup. Otherwise, it's just got a lot of raw stats and, aspect stuff is good and charges are good. So yeah, all right. We go down to the Marauder, the Antiquarian. Antiquarian looks weird. Honestly, seems like the least interesting one. Fast shot, cool. Like, it'd be pretty strong, but you need to get this hits can't be evaded, but 50% reduced dexterity. That's rough. Why is that downside there? The Lionized Shield one is quite strong. 50% base block on the shield, and you take less damage from projectile attacks. That's pretty sick. But it does require you to get this reduced dexterity one, which sucks. The ward section is pretty powerful. Basically, you could get a shitload of ward, so that, ward is blocks that much damage from the first hit, and then the ward disappears. It's kind of like MG Shield if you always lost it all. Probably be a bad description. But if you've got 100 ward and you get hit, the first hit will do 100 less damage, and then you'll lose your ward. And if it does 50 damage, it'll do 0, and you'll still lose all your ward. If you take 200 damage, it'll absorb 100 of it from your ward, and then 100 on your health range shield. The really big thing here is the faster restoration of ward and increased global defenses. That applies to ward and armor, evasion, ranging, energy shield. It does just say that. That's standard. It doesn't actually say increased global standard defenses. Could be really good, especially with if you could potentially do some ward loop setups with it. And then the adrenaline ward breaks is just pretty powerful. Again, with downsides, you have no intelligence, fucking sucks. You won't be able to use a bunch of supports or gear or whatever. But the other two nodes here is like, okay, well, 1000% increased stun and block recovery. That's kind of good. Effectively makes you stun immune. You still get interrupted, but like you don't really stop. And this duration per strength, I was trying to think of a cool build to use with this duration per strength. The problem with that, because you'd be able to get so much duration, like 1000 strength, 100% increased duration. The problem with it is that, like, what are you stacking duration on? Or what do you need duration on that'll make it super strong? Like, there's nothing. I can't really see a viable setup for it. Maybe there's something that, like, stacking a shitload of duration is really powerful for. But I can't really think of where it's going to be super useful for. I like the idea of things like Static Strike or the Chaos skills, but like you're a Marauder with these sorts of things, you're not going Chaos skills, so it doesn't really make sense. Maybe like Blade Storm, Toxic Rain. I don't know, dude. It seems weird. This one's weird. I think the ward thing is the big thing. The other ones are just kind of cool, but the downside sucks. All right. The Behemoth has some pretty interesting stuff. Not only could you just get, I'll start on the left here. You could add certain amounts of. Well, actually, we'll start with the Rampager. No skills. Yeah, no spell skills. Melee hits counters rampage kills. So the big thing here is you can't use any auras. Pretty much any reservation things count spells, which is rough. You have to just make do without them. It's very odd. Bit of a problem, but basically, yeah, the Rampage could be really fun, and you need to get that one to be a Behemoth. Good luck not having any auras or blood and sand, petrified blood, fucking flesh and stone, heralds. None of them work. But the Rampage thing is really cool, and then the other nodes on here are really powerful if you can make past this downside. Basically, you get fortification gives life regen. You get attack speed per fortification with plus 10 max. Those two together, you get 6% life regen and 30% attack speed. That's pretty solid while you're taking 30% reduced damage, or less damage. You got a rage section up here. You get a huge amount of rage, which is pretty cool, and then you get Hateforge. So Vile skills use rage instead. Obviously, with the previous one, that's really cool. Maybe you could do a Vile rage build. That's kind of something I'm tempted to try, but I don't really know a good way to overcome this downside of Rampager here. If the Rampage kills here also gave souls, that'd be really cool. They should do... actually, you don't need souls. What am I on about? I'm an idiot. You get the rage. Finding a way to get rid of the soul game prevention, which I know there's been ways to do that with Hateforge, would be the big thing. Should be really cool. Down here, potential unarmed build, crit, facebreaker stuff. That could be pretty strong. Especially with Lucky. You'd have to use a Coward's Legacy belt because you won't be able to use Petrified Blood to be low life. Coward's Legacy gives you the count as being on low life. And then we've got the huge amounts of armor, so you get mana per strength. I don't know why it's 4 per 4. It should be 1 per 1. Whatever. And gives power of purpose, which is... can I move that from behind me? Yeah. 80% of max matter is converted to twice as much armor. So that'll just give you a shitload of armor. And then some armor stacking stuff. Armor applies to chaos damage from hits, and the attack damage per 450 armor. Having the chance to defend, double armor, cool. The attack damage is a big thing there, I think. You could make some pretty strong armor stacking unarmed build or something, or you go to Fortify Rage. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I think the big thing here is you could go armor stacking, Fortify, unarmed, this Rage, Hateforge stuff would be pretty cool. The problem is you lose your spells. I don't know if it's strong enough. Like some of these nodes seem pretty strong, but to lose all your auras and heralds and stuff, that's rough. That is very rough. I'd be tempted to see what sort of cool Fueled by Hate, Rampage. Maybe there's a good way to make use of the Rampager part. Hell, you could even use oh, is that counted as a spell? Do we know if Dancing Duo is counted as a spell? Because that... Or Dancing Dervish. Because if Dancing Dervish still works, you could kind of just synergize Rampager with Final Blow, so you go unarmed. Manifest Dancing Dervishes. That is considered a spell, so it's probably disabled. That's really weird. Interesting. Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, I mean, maybe there's some good attacks to use with this. It's a cool idea, but I think the loss of auras is too big. All right, I'm taking way too long on this. Ancestral Commander. So this has a whole bunch of things. No idea what all these spirits do. Up the top there. They all sound like very conditional stuff. I think the best one is Critical Strike against Marked Unique Enemy. That's the easiest to trigger, or the Savage Hit one, or maybe even this Block one. But like taking a crit and Totem dying, obviously Totem build use that. We don't know what they do though. We could make some guesses. It's probably related to the thing, but I don't know, dude. Having a mini Defiance of Destiny, really strong. That's very cool. 15% of unreserved life. That's pretty nuts. As well as the 3 max endurance charges here. That's pretty crazy. Could do an endurance charge build. Extra totem and life damage taken for hits redirected to them. Very good. If you want to do a totem setup, maybe there's a totem thing with a Spirit of Comb and Forest the Ancestors. Toughened skin here is just good. You just can't be slowed, basically. And armor's doubled. That's really good for certain action speed slows. I don't know how useful Call of the Ancestors is. Warcry builds probably pretty strong. Maybe General's Cry. General's Cry would be funny, but then you can't use Death Rattle with General's Cry because you don't want to exploit the corpses. Born Under Fire is huge defensive. Just good. Ancestral Reach, very good for strike skills, and Ancestral Echo. I think really the thing here, outside of just Warcries and strike setup, is just Warcry strikes or totems, and then there's just some really fucking good defensive nodes. Like, you know, Ancestral Defiance, Endurance, and Toughened Skin would just make for such a powerful defensive setup. You can't be slowed, huge amounts of defenses, and the recovery from Ancestral Defiance, and then you could maybe take one of these depending on what they do. Could be some cool strike setups. Lightning Strike, Smite even. I'm partial to Infernal Blow. Way back in the day, I beat Uber Elder the first time with Infernal Blow Berserker, but I know it's not that good, sadly. But yeah, pretty cool. Very interesting. Yeah, not really sure what to do with it though. All right, so we got the Shadow, got the Surfcaster. I love the little description actually. He's a chill guy. All about cold damage. Convert lightning to cold with cold damage can shock, and then you get the chill effect, makes enemies take increased damage and deal less damage based on that. So, you know, if 30% chill, they're going to take 30% extra damage and deal 15% less. It's pretty powerful. You can get the reverse chill here. That's... If you're a good way to chill yourself, maybe do some self-damage. Using the chill effect based on your energy shield, and then just have barely any energy shield. This would be really easy with any self-damage then. Could just be a really fun way to go really fast. Maybe I'll try that. I kind of like a lot of this stuff on this one. Within the Tempest, is your enemies you kill are shocked and shock spread. That's okay. Very good for impulses for chain explosions. Because impulses can't shock, but it will kill things, and then it'll make their corpses create a shocking AoE. Pretty good. Brian Bound there, your freezes last at least 1 second, and a 50% chance to freeze enemies when they hit you. It's cool. Not the greatest, especially if you're evasion on a fucking Shadow, but cool. Goes to the Deep is just a lot of stats. Damage, attack, cast, move speed. It's basically just a better onslaught with damage as well. Sea Legs has some potential crazy stacking. Get some Cold and Lightning Res. Let me just move that. There we go. Cold and Lightning Res, and the crit chance increased by overcapped Lightning Res, and evasion increased by overcapped Cold. That gives some pretty good potential scaling. And then there's this interesting two here, which is makes a fishing rod viable. 50% more cast speed while holding a fishing rod, and all hits are critical strikes while holding fishing rod. Very strong, requires a fishing rod. And obviously you lose whatever else you would be getting from a weapon, and the ascendancy nodes as well. But personally, I kind of like the idea of like Stormy Seas, Glacial Wave using hypothermia as well. Hypothermia, not not hypothermia. I'm dumb. Yeah, yes and no, not hypothermia. What is the... Oh my god, it's been far too long. There's that cold support that makes you deal... Bone Chill. Yes. Same sort of thing. Enemies chill by supportive skills take cold damage. Increase cold damage taken by chill effect. And in chilling area. That, alongside Glacial Wave, would stack, give a lot of increased damage taken from cold damage. But then potentially doing some reverse chill could be a lot of fun. Ghost of the Deep is just pretty strong, like getting that amount of move speed. Maybe a Ghost of the Deep reverse chill could be a really fun way to just absolutely zoom. I am kind of interested in doing something like that, and maybe what I go with. I just have to work out what my main skill's actually going to be. I have no idea. Keep going though. 7 Arakaali. Actually, before I move on, basically, yeah, I think with Surfcaster, any cold or lightning skill, hell, we could even do a cold arc or something with chills and stuff. maybe just a full crit build because of Bated Breath. If you go with the fishing rod, getting a fishing rod's a problem because they're super rare. I think I was going to do it. I'd want to try and push. Or you could do some crazy conversion stuff with any of like the holy type spells that convert to lightning, and then you have free lightning to cold without having to use the Brotherhood rings, which could be pretty powerful, as well as you get the shock still, which I think helps a lot. But yeah, good stuff. All right, 7 Arakaali, the big thing, penance mark. That's for creating shades that you can kill, and that's important for raised spiders on kill. Very good. Those two synergize quite well. Minions chance to poison. Yeah, it's a full minion build here. Minion shots poison. Minions have extra crit per withered, and crit chance based on your main hand weapon. Very good. Envy just is chaos damage aura with no reservation. That's cool. Aspect the spider puts the webs that make enemies take increased damage. You then get a thing, so they deal less damage, have less resistances. Very good. Reduce damage. Yeah, minus resistances. And then some power charge stuff for that. So this is basically, if you want to go on minion setup, you got the stuff on the right. If you go over here, your aspect of the spider isn't specifically for minions, buffs you. And then you can get the Silk Dancer and Fatal Bite, make you way stronger. I think if you were doing a non-minion setup with this, you'd be grabbing those three plus some. Envy or Penance Mark. But I feel like you just go to Race Spiders. And there's a small chance you could stack this at Arakaali's Fang, which would be funny. But yeah, cool. Basically, minion, poison, spider build, crit. Crit, poison, spider. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think there's too much crazy out of this, though. Oh, yeah, you can go some extra chaos damage and stuff with that. Yeah. I think if you're doing that, you just go minions, go hard into minions. Blind Prophet. This is really interesting. I kind of like the potential with this because it's just got a whole bunch of stuff in random ways. So the first thing is you're blind, but your base crit strike chance for weapons is 12%. So blind lowers your evasion and accuracy, which let me just quickly pull up. There's a few things that interact with blind. You should pull it up first. Okay, there is some unique items that are very powerful. Related unique items. I mean, you can have a Hinocorus sight with cannot be blinded here. That would be pretty strong. Is there anything that requires you to be blind here? No. Cannot be blinded does not go. Second sights, you are blind is removed immediately. Yeah. So yes, Hinocorus sight would fix this, and you could even use that, or you go full hard into being blind and you use second sight here with blind does not affect your eye areas and more melee crit chance while blind. That would allow you to have a base crit of 15% with melee attacks, which I think is a very, very cool idea. But, you know, and you could even use the Pantheon thing, the Solid Garakan that makes sure you can't be blinded. Yeah, it's weird. Either you just need more accuracy and evasion, or yeah, you go full blind or just cancel the blind out. Regardless of that, though, the fighting random directions, the chance to return, very powerful. Obviously, you need to make use of the random directions thing. Depending on the skill you're using, that's fine. Some people actually quite like certain skills to do that. I think poison concoction, does that return? I don't know. Problem is that a lot of the spells are the ones you want returning like that. So I'm not really sure. But then +2 projectiles, obviously very strong. Under their random directions makes the bouncing poison concoction just like go everywhere. Extra projectiles, yeah, very strong. The non-aura curses not removed, and then blinding cursed corpses in an area, and then explode. So basically, it's blind and explode auras from your curses on the corpses, which is weird. It's good stuff. Basically, permanent elusive at 50% or more effect. That elusive being removed at 50% effect is actually a good thing because it reduces down to 0% usually, but without being able to refresh it. But this allows you to refresh it at 50, so provided you're doing enough crits, that's just really strong. Faithless, just very strong. If you're curse stacking, obviously you go with the Restless Faithless, really strong. But yeah, it's good stuff there. The trigger level 30 Shade Form when hit is just pretty strong with the skill effect duration. Shade Form itself reduces enemy dagger radius by 50% and you're immune to physical damage, so that's really strong. The problem is it has a big cooldown of 40 seconds unless they change that for whatever reason. But the skill effect duration will make that up to a 3.9 second duration by standard. But you can extend that a little bit. And then obviously Lightless is really powerful if you have a shitload of Abyss Jewels. But yeah, I don't know what to do with this build. Yeah, as I said, you might be able to go second sight, full into blind, have a huge amount of melee crit, and maybe go something that you wouldn't usually be getting a lot of crits with. But you're a shadow, you'd be getting a lot of crits anyway. So I think the projectiles thing here, or the corpse explodey is like the big thing. Do some curse stuff as well, maybe. Because this corpse explodey doesn't require you to get the kill, which is cool. So we're able to deal with a curse bot. Alright, Harbinger, yeah, weird. Recovery rate's cool, cooldown recovery rate's good. Harbinger of Time, I'm not going to go through what each of them do. This helps with cooldown stuff. I think this helps with mana stuff. Buffs expiring slower and debuffs expiring faster is really good. The unaffected by chill, shock, and curses while channeling. It's okay if you're using a channeling skill. I don't really know when that's going to be super good. This one here is really strong. No reservation if Temp Chains use an aura, so you can do a Blasphemy Temp Chains with a huge amount of AoE. That's pretty nice. I will actually double check what some of these do. I don't think there's any particular thing to do here. I think the Harbinger Chimes cooldown, as I said. Harbinger of the Arcane. Harbinger of the Arcane gives 10% cast speed, 30% mana regen, chance to shock, and 10% lightning pen. It also randomly gives you Arcane Surge. Okay. I mean, look, it's a caster setup, I would say, a lot of this. But yeah. Very, very odd. Oh, actually, we've got it on the wiki now. Yeah, so the Harbinger of Time gives 10% action speed, and the Harbinger of Focus gives immunity to ailments, stun immunity, damage reduction, and immunity to curses. That's really strong defensively, actually. That's pretty whack. Has grants the skill. How long do they last? Apparently, usually only works while you're channeling. Like, it'll cast a skill on you while you're channeling. So that would work with that, but that's weird by itself if you're not using a channeling skill. Anyway, kind of cool, bit weird. Yeah, now Herald here is silly. This is just really strong in so many ways. I'm going to start with the 3, 4 ones at the bottom here because they're a lot more simple. So Herald of Purity buff effect, fizz damage reduction while affected by Herald of Purity. That's more fizz damage and less fizz damage taken, effectively. Now, sadly, you only get to pick one of these. That's the thing, because they're all connected to this thing here. Herald of Ice buff effect, max cold res. Extra flat cold damage, great. Extra fizz added as fire, great. Extra lightning damage, great. And huge amounts of chaos res. And Herald of Agony buff effect is just the damage to minions. And the chance to poison, I believe. Buff grants. No, it's not the damage to minions. So the buff grants 20% chance to poison and 10% more damage with poisons. That'll make it 40% chance to poison and 20% more damage to poison. So that'd be good for a poison build, and the Chaos Rest is nice. Alright. Big thing is, though, you also start with aura skills are disabled. So you can't use auras, but your mana reservation efficiency of heralds is 200% increase. So you can use 3 times as many heralds with the same amount of mana without investment, that is. Alright, so Damnation up the top here. Look, getting additional element of damage reduction equal to half Chaos Res, very strong with Future Nostalgia here. Obviously, that requires you to be using a Herald of Agony setup. But Damnation itself, I don't like the idea of reducing your charges to 0, but that's a lot of early damage reduction, especially if you're sitting on 35%. It's a 32.5%. If you get any max Chaos Res as well, be even better. Elemental Conflux when you kill an enemy, that'll just be good for clear. Getting extra damage, I get 30% more elemental damage. It's just solid. Obviously, you have to be an elemental build for that to be useful. You got the Persecution here. Herald skills have crit chance and extra AoE. That's just really strong. If you're using mainly Ice and Thunder. But yeah, and then Apocalypse plus 3 all levels, really good. And if you go in minion build, which is Purity and Agony, which you use both, these here. 2 extra Sentinels of Purity and 25 max Virulence and 66% increased damage. That's just huge. So I think the big thing here is you either go one of the Cold or Lightning ones, Cold or Lightning, Cold or Thunder, Persecution, and do some plus level and elements of Conflux. So you can do some crazy amounts of slamming through. Clear with those two, maybe get some chaining between them. Or you go minion setup with either Herald of Agony or Herald of Purity, probably the Herald of Agony one, so that way you need less investment in the poison shots. Not you'd really need much anyway. And then Scourge, which is obviously just very strong. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Be really good for like a Herald Auto Bomber setup. For obvious reason. Now, Bog Shaman makes me have flashbacks to Blood Mage on PV2, mainly for Nightblood here. Skills getting base life cost equal 25% of base mana cost. It's only 25% compared to Blood Mage's 100. But then you gain added fizz damage equal to 80% of life cost if the life cost is not higher than max you could spend. Really cool. I like that. Could be nice on skills that already use life. Not 100% sure though. In any case, you also have Nearby Enemies Malediction and Reservation Efficiency, really good for Blasphemy, but I don't know how important that would be. Depends what you're doing. A lot of these have downsides. Poison, you get poisoned more. If you use this with Chaos Inoculation, which you probably wouldn't do on this setup because it requires life, you know, you could just be poisoned and get max resistances. You could use Golden Rule to reflect poisons back to yourself. Felfan, yeah, it's fine. I don't think you'd want to use this unless you're a pure Chaos setup that can't reduce their resistances too much with Despair, but you'd be using Despair, so I don't know, that's a bit weird. Pacify would be interesting, making enemies take way more damage as well as deal no damage in the second half, well, last 40% of the duration. And then here you can take damage, based on the mana costs, but then you gain added chaos damage based on the mana costs, which is pretty strong. Which then you have a added chaos based on mana cost and added fizz damage based on life cost. Then over here you got 3 Sanguine Power, makes you not get max life per level, or less max life per level. It basically you'll lose 300 max life by the end, but then all armor items give max life instead of energy shield, which is actually a lot. So you better go massive life stacker here, and then potentially really make use of Nightblood, get some regen. Toad Pact is pretty cool if you can make up for the negative resistances. Getting projectile speed, AoE, and skill effect duration is really useful, particularly for like chaos spells, chaos dots. With Pandemic here, chaos dots. If you're using CI, there is actually some really good potential for CI with Venom Drinker and Pandemic, because losing 5% life per second is nothing when you have 1 health. Assuming that works, unless it kills you. That'd be funny. Yeah, I think this is really like chaos dots, or you go for added fizz or added chaos with any sort of skill. Obviously, like your Blade Blast added fizz could be quite cool, but you're gonna have to get a really good way to sustain either the health or health for both of these. But yeah, that's pretty solid. We got Duelist, Gambler. Gambler's just wacky. So up here, 50% chance to avoid being stunned and elemental elements. Cool. That's pretty nice. Just stack that with some other chance to avoid. Done. Get 100%. Growing Accumulator is just a kind of good node, but it makes your damage way unreliable. Chance to deal double, chance to deal triple, but deal less damage. Which if you quickly throw up the calculator, you deal 0.75 with a effectively times by 1.3. That's with the double. Actually, we go 0.75 times 0.3. 225 times 2, because the triple is adding the same amount. Plus, it's like it's about 20% more damage on average. It's not great, but like, yeah, cool. It'd be nice. But then, yeah, your crit chance is unlucky, damage with hits is unlucky. This is really bad for lightning. Unless you have the non-crits, is damage with is lucky, because that'll just counteract it, but that defeats the purpose. You're going to be critting a lot. Very odd. You'd have to have a very small damage range, so you're not like doing the lowest amount of damage but critting more all the time. This one's just good if you're not stacking max res and you can make up for the negative. They're just kind of good. Reversed odds here is good if you're using not shredding enemy resistances. It can also be stacked with the mastery that does the same thing, and that would actually be quite strong. But yeah, you can't shred resistances, otherwise you just kind of ruin yourself. This one's just kind of good. Damage enemies unlucky while low life. Yeah, it's sick. That'll allow you to just do some sort of low life setup or just stay alive better. And then you can get chance to block attack damage as lucky, with spell damage unlucky, or the other way around. If you don't have any spell block, then the chance to block attack damage is just really good. If you don't have much attack block, then the chance for spell damage being lucky is really good. Weird. I don't know a specific build to go with this, other than either some small damage range crit stuff or inverting resistances. It's weird. I don't think I'd do it. Paladin's got some kind of cool stuff. Rather get Discipline, Determination, Grace, level 30. Obviously pretty strong. You got some link stuff with flasks applying to link targets, plus level mink skills, and without losing XP. This is just a really good support one, to be honest. And then your aura is stronger while you have a link target. But like that, boom, make a link build. Taunts make enemies take increased damage and do less damage to others, and walk around have infinite power. Very strong. Nearby enemies take extra damage. Very strong. Elemental Relic, when you're nearby ally kill or hit a rare or unique enemy. Cool. Very strong. And Consecrated Ground, very strong. Everything on here is pretty good. Obviously, if you're not using link stuff, you just ignore the link stuff, because even everything else on here is just huge for supporting. yeah, I think this is an aura bot build, no doubt about it. But it's not necessarily just auras, because these other things here are their own stuff. So it's a support setup. Very good. I probably wouldn't play this if you're by yourself. Maybe a minion build. You could link to a minion, get some huge aura effect. Even Light of Divinity and Elemental Valiance is pretty strong. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I wouldn't play it without being in a group or doing a solid minion setup. But also, it's a duelist. It's a really weird spot on the tree. Fuck do you do with that? Aristocrat is Gemming Legionnaire. Extra level of skill gems, cool. Extra level of support gems, cool. Quality of all skill gems, cool. There's some good quality stacking stuff you better do with some of the transfigured gems. But yeah. Passive skill points. Yep, good. Alright, then you have the option between cannot be shocked if int is higher than strength, cannot be ignited if strength is higher than dex, and cannot be frozen if dex is higher than intelligence, with the increases to those stats. So if you want a stat stack, that's huge. That's massive. You can even pick specific ones to stat stack. I think if you get all your stats the same, you'd be able to get all three of the positives there. But yeah. And then just like stat stacking, increased damage per 5 levels tribute. Yep, cool. Problem is you can't take that with all three of these because you have to take Inherited Fortune first. So you'd have to pick 2 of these and then that, and then you'd have to make up for the one that's lower, not getting as much increase. But that's a lot of damage. You could do any sort of build here or focus on the quality stuff. The problem is you have to get the +1 level or skill gems into the quality, and then you either get one of these or you get the + level of that. So you kind of limited in the variety of setups here, but could do a lot with it. I think it's pretty uninteresting overall. There'll be some strong builds with it for stat stacking, but whatever. We got the Architect of Chaos. Holy shit, this video is ending up way too long. This is Vile skills. I don't think you would bother using this if you weren't going Vile stuff. You can get a blood magic without being blood magic here. It's actually pretty strong. Because you don't lose your mana. You could be a low life build very easily here just by reserving, but you obviously need to still spend life, but very good. Everlasting Sacrifice, Shepherd of Souls, Dissolution. This one's pretty good. Oh wait, 1 second. You just need to take no damage for 1 second to unreserve. Oh my god, that's so strong. That's very strong. That's very strong. Very, very, very strong. But yeah, these Fever for Corruption here. Increase Vile skill effect duration and require 50% reduced souls per use. Very strong. And then you can get the reduced soul gain for instant duration, which for the skill effect duration often increases soul gain for instant duration, so these will counteract each other. So with those two, you'll have the increased skill effect duration without the downside of increasing your soul gain for instant time. Use half the amount of souls and gain all this crit chance, and then you get the + level of Vile skill gems. Very good. Glimpse Chaos is just very strong if you make up for the negative resistances, because life energy shield, huge amounts. Forbidden Secrets, Everlasting Sacrifice is when you hit full energy shield, you sacrifice all your energy shield to gain 5 to all max resistances for 4 seconds. That's really good if you have very little energy shield. Just like ding, done, ding, done. You might be able to do it with some like energy shield on hit too. Could be a really interesting way of just constantly having max resistances. I don't think it's super good though. I'm struggling to spell right now. Shepherd of Souls. Shepherd of Souls is the non-Vile aura skills have... No, Vile non-aura skills have 80% less soul cost, but 100% increase per one like used in the last 8 seconds. So Everlasting Sacrifice wouldn't work with Dissolution, but then Shepherd of Souls allows you to have very, very cheap Val skills. But if you've used them 5 times in the last 8 seconds, they'll start to cost more. That's still pretty strong. Because you'd be able to use 5 times in 8 seconds. Obviously, it depends on this stuff. You're still going to have soul gain prevention duration, so you maybe use it 5 times, wait for the time to run out, use it 5 times. Yeah. Because, yeah, basically, that it makes so 80% less cost than they go up by 100%. So after 5 uses, it's using the normal amount. Yeah, very cool if you want to do some crazy Val skill stuff. I actually really like the idea of doing this. Same with the Berserkers Hayforge stuff. Berserkers, Behemoths. Potential scaling on Grim's Chaos. But I think Fever, Corruption, and Depose Order here, they're the big ones I'd want to use to begin with. They'll start the cycle. But yeah, very, very cool. I like that. Obviously use one of the flasks, like Soul Tether, Soul Ripper, rather. Not Soul Tether. And Dissolution just looks really strong, but it doesn't work with Energy Shield, so I'd have to work around that. Polytheist has a lot of god stuff. Honestly, seems pretty Devout of Garthcool only good if you're also probably using Garthcool's Pelt. You could get a huge amount of life regen. It would be absurd how much life regen you get, but losing spells, very bad. As we went over with Behemoth. Max Hold Res cannot be frozen. Cool. Devout of Vistlatha, very good if you're doing a bleed setup for more tag damage, but you're on the Templar, so it's kind of a bit weird. Devout of Garakan, pretty strong, life regen, mana regen, and evasion rating while moving, and immune to ground stuff. That's pretty nice. Solaris gives you crit and reduces enemies' crit chance. Let me just move out of the way. There we are. It's fine. If anything, the reason to use this one is just Brass Fury. Just run around and explode things. And then Hex Reflection, immune to reflected damage, and your Hex is going to affect Hexproof enemies. That's just good. And then these two up here are just good. I really like the idea of just using these four. Bunch of charges, Nova skills cast target location instead of around you, and extra projectiles, Hex Reflection, blah blah blah, and then Burning Footprints with that Brass Fury. Use this to clear. Use this for bosses or anything else that you can't just walk around or need to hit from range. Maybe not that. It depends. I'm wondering if the Devout of Garthcool will immediately disable your Devout of Aberrath. It probably will. It should be dumb. Kind of cool. No idea what you do with it. Obviously, Nova stuff is cool. But I think Devout of Aberrath is all I would use it for. And maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just start Devout of Aberrath and just fucking and just run through the game. Because the Aberrath's Fury on the Aberrath's Hooves gives level 7. And it does 50 to 75 damage. That's actually probably really strong. Skill. Triggers Aberrath's Fury. Yeah. I may start with that, because that'd be fun. Just walk through the game, hit level 80 by walking through the game. Puppeteer. Puppeteer has some really cool minion stuff. Like, very, very cool. So we got the extra Hex and Hex Transferal. Very good. Nearby monsters who extra have at least life reserve. Basically, monsters will have 20% less life, but also make Cull better and low life stuff better, because they're going to start on a lower percentage of their life. Marination is just strong. There's extra life as max energy shield for you and your minions. These three up here are not necessarily minion setups. You then have minions. I hate the positioning of this. Like this node up here goes down here. Hang on, let me just move me. There you go. You see your minions have spread cost of Crown on Death. The 30% of life is chaos damage. Very good if you're using like a self-bomber build, which you could do with Graveyard Shift, because now your zombies count as corpses and don't require corpses. You can exploit them. Adding half your strength to minions gives them more life, makes Putrid Conscription even stronger. Very good. as well as this one here for extra raised zombie levels, which will also increase their life. So you can do some crazy zombie stacking stuff here. Making your minions aggressive and have crit chance equal your main weapon. Potential Tripanon shenanigans, give them 100% crit chance. Could be funny, but I think this kind of zombie chaos spreading is kind of the big thing you can do here outside of just like a standard thing. And then you got some animate weapon stuff, which, you know, extra copy, animate Guardian stronger, they deal splash damage, and defensive items of the Guardian apply to animated weapons. That's whatever. The defenses part I think is kind of nothing. But really cool for Chains of Command. Because Chains of Command will allow your animate Guardians to run around, create its own things, get extra copies. I think if I was going to do this, it'd either be a funky Chain of Command thing, or it would be all this zombie stuff. These 4 nodes down here, just absurd amounts of zombie health scaling. You can even do minion instability, though you may not need to because you just detonate your own zombies easy enough. You just have to literally spam zombies like crazy. And then the last one is Scavenger, and this video is nearly an hour now. Holy shit. Yeah, Scavenger's fucked. There's so many strong things in here. I'm not going to go over all the potential things, but just immediately I'm just feel like Stasis Prison, Recoup and Debuff Expiry, very good. Cloak of Flame, Fizz taken as fire, very good. Foxshade, cool for leveling, but your problem is you can't get it on the first thing. So the way that this Ascendancy is set up is you have to get the first one. So your first Ascendancy will get these 2 points. Second Ascendancy will get this one and one of these 2. Third will get whichever one that you're heading towards of these, and then the fourth will get the one at the back here. These 2 up here are weapon ones. The top ones are kind of caster, and the bottom ones are attack. They're all based off the uniques. So Chevron's very good if you need that without having to get a Chevron's wrappings or something else. And Blunderball could just be pretty strong if you're going to do shrine stacking stuff. But if you're going to go to shrine stacking stuff specifically, I'd probably just play the ranger one that gets the shrines constantly. On the back end, which you're guaranteed to get one of these, Chaos Damage heals you instead of damages you while you're leeching, which you get overleech stuff from either Soul Tether or Petrified Blood. Very cool. You just heal constantly. Fury Valve, getting split stuff with the extra projectiles. Very good for things that can't split, like Poison Concoction of bouncing. It just makes it bounce extra times. Dojo's Tongue, kind of whatever. Leadership's Price, having Conflux constantly. Very good. And then you've got the Chaos Damage, Chill and Shock, sure, kind of whatever, and Death Rush, Constant Adrenaline on Kill, very good for clearing. There's builds to do here. There's too many things. I can't come up with one solid build that I would do with this. Obviously here, you get Battle Mage, do some crazy spell damage stuff, Cerberus Limb for defenses. That's not really a specific build, just any caster setup with Cerberus Limb, very good. Aegis Aurora gives shitload of armor and energy shield, so you'd end up gonna get extra evasion rating and energy shield from that. Midnight Bargain, very good for minion builds. I don't know if you'd pick this for minion build unless you specifically needed the other stuff. Just because we've already seen a bunch of minion builds that are really good. If you want Spectres, I guess this is a good one. And Raging Spirits with the Raging Spirits of Anomaly, because you only usually get max 6 that are put at 9. Yep, Explosions, very strong. Void Battery is insane. This is probably one of the biggest things here, because Void Battery usually has 80% reduced spell damage, but it has the same spell damage for Power Charge plus on max. You could stack it. It'd be just insane. And yeah, it just work. As for the Fulcrum, this is a bit weird because Fulcrum, it's cool that it's here, but reflecting elements or elements to you is mainly useful for like self-ignite with Prolith, which you'd need a way to make sure you don't die for that. You could use it for Chill Reflect, but if you're doing Chill Reflect, you just probably play Surfcaster. But yeah, I think Void Battery here is pretty crazy, and Battle Mage is also pretty good. I think if I was going to do a setup with Scavenger, I would almost be tempted to go like Blunderbore, Void Battery, Fury Val. I don't know. Down here, Constant Rampage with Frenzy Charges and AoE, very cool for clear. Soul Taker. Soul Taker having insufficient mana doesn't prevent any melee attacks is kind of nice. With the chills, just an added benefit. There's some nice setups you can do with that. I'm not super privy to that. I know Polsteron talks about it in his video on this thing. Doomfletch is very strong. 20% of weapon physics damage is extra of each element. It gives you 20% extra as lightning, cold, and fire, which will, make it do absurd amounts of damage. Just plus 60% effectively. Getting Flicker Strike from Oro's Sacrifice here. Culling Strike against burning enemies and Frenzy Charge if attack ignites. You can just do that all the time. It's just crazy. Fizz damage can shock. It's good, but I don't think it's anywhere near anything something like the Doomfletch or even Soul Taker. And Tower's Felling just basically makes you do an extra hit of a strike or a slam skill when near an enemy. It's pretty strong, but it doesn't really stack super well with things. I don't know why you'd be using this ascendancy with strikes or slams, considering the possibilities on this. Either way, I was hoping that making this video would give me some sort of idea about what to play, and it hasn't. I think either I want to do some zoomy Surfcaster stuff, or Wildspeaker is pretty tempting as well. No. Or like Architect of Chaos Vile skills. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty nuts. Maybe I've gone into too much detail with this. I don't know. Either way, I'm really keen. Holy shit, there's so much to it. It's crazy. But yeah, I think that'll be it. I'm sorry this is taking so long. Fuck, I'm gonna spend way too long kind of coming up with things over the next week or so. I'll try and find any good ones to point out. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching.